Coming to you from John Wayne's 26 Bar Ranch in Eager, Arizona.
Back again. We're sure going to cook you up something I think you're going to really enjoy today. Well, my old grandma used to cook up this for a bunch of charros in southern Arizona years ago, and what we're going to cook you today is what she used to call Naco tacos. Of course, I'm going to have to cheat just a little bit. We're going to show you a nice, easy, simple way of making up the meat. The meat that is normally pulled, and I'm going to show you a nice, simple way of doing that. Then on top of that, we're going to make up a corn pie. And this she used to make up in great big tubs and feed to the charros also. So I think you're going to enjoy this one today. We're going to be right back after this, so don't go away. Oh, howdy, partners. This is old Chili Bill. Just want to remind you, we're going to be coming your way every Saturday right here on KUSK. We're going to be cooking up all those great foods of the Southwest: enchiladas, tacos, burros, guacamole, barbecue. We sure don't want you to miss any of it. So stay tuned right here on KUSK. Till then, adios. Well, we're back. Well, we're going to give it go here now, and we're going to try to show you an easy way of making Naco tacos, as my grandma used to call them. I'm going to show you some real easy hints on how to make what is normally called machaca. Now, machaca is a Spanish word which means pulled beef. Now, what they do normally is boil the beef, usually 3-4 hours, because they always use the real tough meats, and they'd boil it 3 or 4 hours, and then they would in spices, and then they would pull it with 2 great big forks. And then this would be the shredded beef that you see when you have Mexican food. Well, today we're going to try to show you an easy way to do that. I hunted for years trying to figure out some way so I didn't have to go through the boiling of the meat and then have to grind the meat or pull it with the forks. I came on to some good old canned roast beef. Now, this stuff usually comes from South America, Brazil, or Argentina, and it's fairly inexpensive, and it cooks up real well into what we call machaca. And so what we're going to do, this will make about, this will probably make about 8 or 9 good-sized tacos by the time you add all of your trimmings and so forth. Now, just for those of you that wonder what taco means snack. It's kind of like a sandwich to us. The Mexicans, when you travel in Mexico, if you go into a little plaza or something, they will bring you out tacos, and they're a little snack in Mexico. They're not a full-course meal, but we kind of make a full-course meal out of it in the United States. When I was a young fella, used to be able to sit down with my old buddy, and we would knock off a dozen tacos just like that. Of course, nowadays, I can't get anywhere near that. Maybe a couple, and that's about it. But what we're going to do is we're going to take this roast beef, and we're going to put it into this. Oop, I had that almost too hot, didn't I? Well, that's all right. It's going to cook down real well here. Now, this roast beef is in hunks. And what we're going to do is break up the roast beef just a little bit, and I'm going to get it up to just about a boil, and then I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. And then we're going to add some spices to it. Now, for those of you who don't know too much about the Mexican spices, usually they use oregano, comino, and cilantro. Now, those are the Spanish pronunciations. Oregano, if you happen to watch the old Galloping Gourmet years ago, he used to say oregano, which is proper, because that is the English pronunciation. Oregano is the Spanish. Comino is the same thing as cumin, but that one is the English pronunciation and the other is the Spanish. Now, cilantro is a form of plant that is sometimes called Chinese parsley. And cilantro is also called coriander in the English pronunciation. So we're going to use all those spices to make up our taco meat. First of all, we're going to take some ground comino. We're going to take some ground comino, and now remember, I have put in, let's see what it does say here. It says 12 ounces. So we're going to have about 1.5 ounces per tortilla made up into a taco. So I'm going to put in 1/2 of a teaspoon, not a tablespoon, but a teaspoon of comino. Now this is a very pungent spice, and I did some study a while back. I did a program for Trinity Broadcasting Network, and I looked this up, and you'll find this in the Bible. I never knew that was the truth. They used this way back in biblical times. Now we're going to put in the oregano. Now you have to be a little careful with the oregano, because oregano, of course, is used in a lot of Italian foods, and I love Italian food. But generally speaking, oregano is more of an Italian spice than it is a Spanish or Mexican spice. So we're going to be a little easy on this so we don't make it taste too much like Italian food. So I'm going to put in about 1/2 of what I put in the comino. I'm going to put about 1/2 of that in, of the oregano, or oregano, if you prefer, if you like the English pronunciation, or if you happen to watch the old Galloping Gourmet years ago. There we go. All right, now we have the oregano and the comino and the cilantro I've already put in, and what we're going to do now is I'm going to stir this up just a little bit because we begin to stick a little bit here. And you have to be a little bit careful because this does have a thickening in it. It has a thickening in the roast beef. Now, I'm going to knock those pieces apart here, and then I'm going to reach over here. Looks like I've got a very dainty garlic salt here. Use a lot of garlic salt, and we're going to put in about 1/2 of a, a quarter of a teaspoon. And the reason why a quarter, I've had to give up some of the salt. It's blood pressure, you know, all of us have to watch the cholesterol all the time and this and that. And I've been kind of giving up a little bit of the salt. But, you know, if you wanted a little saltier, then you do it. But I'm cutting mine down just a little bit. All right, now I think we have all the spices in. And you've probably been wondering what this is right offhand here. This is called a molcajete. Now, we're not going to use it today because I already cheated a little bit and I used the ground spices. A molcajete is usually used by the Mexicans to grind their spices. And I like to use it when I make my guacamole and, of course, when I grind the homemade spices and so forth. But we're not going to be using it today because it takes a little bit of time to grind it up in the molcajete. But this is an invention of the Mexican Indians back in Cortez's days. And they're a nice piece to have around. All right, I think we have our meat. It's going here. And I think that what we'll do is we'll take a little break, sell some things here. And we're going to be coming back here, and then we're going to get into the making of the good old taco, the Naco taco. So we're going to take a little break, be right back. Don't go away.
Town, folks would try to gun him down, but the gunfighters always were prepared. They survived by their speed, killing first became their creed. The gunfighters told the host was spared. Gunfighters, gunfighters, death stalking by. Gunfighters,
Chilibill'S with my good buddies here, Juan Baracho and George Gabby Hayes Jr. who just took those falls for you a minute ago, telling you that no Hollywood magic is in this. Western know-how that makes Chilibill'S chili, the authentic, bring you back to life bowl of red made with lean beef and my own championship chili blend. A real palate pleaser. Why don't you give it a try? Well, let's see, I guess I better eat. Oh, there's only one bowl here? That's That's Chilibill'S Championship Chili. You'll find that recipe and many more, and if you like it hot, enchiladas, tacos, burros, barbecue. And if you can't find it at your local trading post, send for it. See? Well, we're back, and I found the cilantro, so we can actually put it in now. I'm gonna do what the lady in the audience said to do. I'm gonna give it a pinch of cilantro. Remember what cilantro is? Cilantro is the Chinese parsley, or it's sometimes known by other English names. Usually you'll be able to find it in the store under coriander. Cilantro is the Spanish pronunciation. And you got to be a little careful with this, because it's very pungent, and it can make it a little bit bitter. So be a little careful with that. All right, what we're going to do now is I'm going to put a little bit of oil in here into the old black iron skillet. This is Grandma's old number 7. They used to number all of these black iron skillets, you know, years ago. This happens to be a number 7. And what we're going to do is I'm going to let this heat up just a little bit, and I'm going to explain a little bit about tortillas. These happen to be corn tortillas. And as you can see, they're about, I'd say they're 4 or 5 inches across. And they're made of corn masa. Corn masa. Now, masa was made way back when, in the last century, by the Mexicans with coarse ground in the molcajete. They'd grind up the corn, then they would mix it with lard, and they would make a very coarse ground flour. Then they would make kind of a pancake, and they would cook it on the heat, and this would be the tortilla. This is the basis for many of the Indian-style Mexican foods. You have to remember, the corn tortilla was something that came from Europe, because the flour tortilla came from Europe, the Spanish. Corn tortilla, of course, is Indian because it's corn. Now, as you can see, you can't wrap one of these things like this, because they just won't stay that way. So you have to do what's called limping the tortilla. Limping the tortilla. Well, I'm going to limp up a couple of them here, and we use the grabbers here, and we'll go into the oil, and the oil is hot. You turn it over in about 2 or 3 seconds, and bring it right out, and put it right on this good old paper sack, you know, instead of just using it to throw your garbage out and so forth. It's very absorbent, and absorbs some of that excess grease that we have on here. Now what we're going to do is, I'll make up 2 or 3 of these. We're going to limp these, put them in, turn them over, and take them out. Now I'm going to show you what happens when you leave them in too long. So I'll just let this one go a little bit while I prepare these. Now I'm just going to let this one cook up a little bit. I'll turn it over and let it go. You'll see why you must put them in, turn them over, and take them out almost immediately. So what we're going to do is I'm going to get these fixed up. I'm going to show you 2 different ways of making them. I'm going to show them the old Indian and Mexican way, and then I'm going to show you a kind of a new innovation that I came up with. I've been accused of stealing these out of my friends' restrooms and everything else, but really, truly, I didn't. These happen to be just small lengths of pipe or tubing. You can go down and get a piece of aluminum tubing so long, cut it up into pieces about this size, and what you do with them, you lay the tortilla around them like that. And I'm going to do one this way, and I'm going to do one the old Mexican or Indian way. Now, look here. See what happened? That's why you can't leave it in there. Now that makes a good, good for dip and so forth. In fact, you can make up some, chips for your dip by just cutting your tortillas like this, cutting them this way, and cutting them this way. And then, of course, throw them into your grease, your hot grease right here, and you can make up your own chips. And so what we're going to do now is I'm going to let these chips go just a little bit here, and then I'm going to sneak this one in right alongside it, and I'm going to use the tongs like this, and I'm going to put it in with the bottom down first, just long enough for it to cook just a little bit. Then I'm going to lay it down and let it cook on that side for, oh, I don't know, 30 seconds, something like that. And then we're going to turn it over. Now this one, I'm going to take my other thing that they accuse me of stealing out of my friends' houses, and we're going to put that one on there like this. And I'll put it in also, and then I'm going to do one the original old Indian way. Now the way that they do them, they limp the tortilla. I'm getting kind of a frying pan that's full, but that's all right. They limp the tortilla. Now what they do is they wrap it back around with the grabbers like this, the tongs, and they just hold it down in like this, with the bottom down until it gets crisp on the bottom. When it gets crisp on the bottom, then they turn it on its side and allow it to continue to cook. Now these are almost done already. I'll turn them over like this. All right. And those should be just about done. Now let's get some of the grease out of them, just a little bit of the grease out of them. And we'll bring them over here and let them cool down just a little bit. Like that. Now we're going to turn this other guy over like that. And when you go into a Mexican food restaurant, a lot of times you get your taco shell. It looks like it's all irregular shape. Well, the reason is they do them by hand like this. Now we have also we have our chips are all done here. I'll put them out here also. And I think we can get rid of our grease for the time being. Now I'm going to just make up two right now. A little bit later, you know, we got this big hungry crew out here. I'll have to make up more naturally, but right now we'll just make up the two, and then I'll get the hot grease out of here. As soon as I can find something that I can get the hot grease out with, I will get it out. Right now I'm going to turn it down. I'll turn it down like that. All right, now what we have the shells made up. Let them cool down just a little bit, and here's your shell. It's like that. You made them yourself. You didn't go down and buy those kind that you get at the store, you know, where you take one bite. Everything falls out the bottom, onto the pet poodle, onto the floor. All right, now here is the one that we made up before, right here. I'll just take the form out of it. And you've made all of these yourself. And this one's ready to go. Now this one here is the one that we didn't use the form on. This is the way the Mexicans did it. Now you can see that it's very irregular. We're going to take a little break here and try to sell some things, and we'll be right back after this.
Caramba, somebody stole my caballo.
Nobody stole your caballo, Tomato. He took off and became a lawyer after tasting Chilibill's famous championship chili.
Well, I know you from some place.
I'm Chili Bill, and we're doing a man-on-the-range interview to find out how many of you good folks out there like your chili hot and spicy. That's the way I like mine. Plenty of hot stuff in it to keep my mustachio curled. Here, Tomato, try some of this and become a lawyer, too.
Smells like chile.
Hey, you're getting smarter already, Tomato.
Good chile.
Of course it's good. It's Chilibill's chili, and those of you who like it hot and spicy can enjoy all those good recipes you've seen Chili Bill and his guests cook on Chilibill's Kitchen Show by going to your local trading post or bookstore and picking up a copy of his famous recipe book, If You Like It Hot.
See?
Or you can order it direct by sending your money order.
Well, we're coming in on the home stretch here, and we've got the shells all done, homemade shells. The meat is all done, the machaca, the pulled beef, that's all done. And we're going to head into the final part of putting these tacos together. And let's see, oh yeah, the crew's motioning to me here. They think that I better put this on. So we'll just slip this little Chili Bill apron on here. And see if we can keep this new shirt from getting all messed up. Of course, I've already gotten through most of the cooking. It really doesn't make much difference now. You guys should have told me this a little bit earlier, you know. But you didn't. So we're going to go ahead and get this thing going here. Let me get this thing tied. I need a housewife here to help me with this thing, see? There we go. That'll do it. Okay, here we go. First of all, we'll take these forms out. We're going to take the meat, and we're going to put in, about a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons, depending on how big you like the taco. Now, if you make them too big, then they will fall apart on you. And so what we'll do here, let me get rid of this so that they can get a shot of this thing. But here's one of them made up. Put a little bit of meat in this one. All right. A little bit more. Now see, this meat is shredded. You see, that's the machaca. Okay, there we go. Now, we're going to take some cheese. This happens to be Longhorn cheese here. And Longhorn cheese has been used in the West, for years and years. And so we're going to use some Longhorn cheese, and I'm going to put some right here like this. And we have 2 of them made up now. Now, what we're going to do is put a little bit of lettuce on them. And chop just a little bit of lettuce here for you. Oh, we got the thing in there. Well, here, in case you've never learned how to take the core out of a lettuce, you just bash it. Then you reach right in there and pull the core out. Let's get a little bit of lettuce here. All right, that should be enough for a couple of them. Then we'll make some more up here in a minute. And what we're going to do is we're going to load those up right there. And those are ready to go. Those are all ready to go there, and what we're going to do now is we're going to go in and I'm going to show you how to make this corn pie. And this corn pie is a very simple thing to make, so it's not difficult and it won't take up much time. So here's our tacos, and we're going to do the corn pie. First of all, what we're going to need is we're going to need 2 cans of cream corn. Not the plain corn, but just this has to be cream corn. We need 2 cans of it. Now this is an old ranch type of dish that is very easy to put together. And of course nowadays we have freezers. In those days they didn't have freezers, and it would keep pretty well. It would get kind of a crust on it, and it would keep like a kind of like a pie. And so that's where it got the name of corn pie. Now, 2 of the Ortega diced green chilies. Now these are the mild green chilies. They're not hot. Okay. And 2 of those go in. Now we've got to put in 2 of the small black chopped olives, or roughly 1 cup of the black olives. All right. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to have to stir this up, and we need 1 cup of yellow cornmeal, which I'm going to put in just a little bit later. Right now I don't have it right here, but we'll put it in before we put it in the oven. We cheat it again. We have one already cooked. So what we'll do is we'll put in the yellow cornmeal, the plain old cowboy yellow cornmeal here, just before we put this one in the oven. But we already have one of them done. Now, we mix this all up, and this has to cook in a, I'm going to have to move over here and get this right here. And you can cook this in the microwave also. Uh-oh, she's sneaking in the yellow cornmeal over there. Did you see that? She snuck that in there so slick. I'm going to put in a little bit of yellow cornmeal in here. Where's my measuring cup? There we are, right there. That'll get it all out of the way, right there. Okay, let me get that out of the way so that we've got everything in like it's supposed to be. There we go. Now this has to go into a greased casserole dish. For goodness sakes, grease this thing before you put this in it, because it won't ever come out. What you do is just put a little bit in there. I just put a little bit of grease in there, and then just kind of use my hands and just grease this all down on the inside, like that. And we take the mixture that we have here, and this freezes very well, so don't be afraid of making up a big batch of it. And we're going to put it into the casserole dish. We're going to have a preheated oven 350 degrees. We're going to put it in there for about 45 to 50 minutes. And when you get through, then you can kind of dress it up just a little bit. You can put a little bit of maybe paprika on top or some parsley and dress it up just a little bit. And I think you're really going to enjoy this one. Now, we're going to take another little break, and we're going to come back in just a minute, and we're going to eat some of this food. And so we'll be right back in just a minute.
When they rode into town, folks tried to gun them down, but the gunfighters always were prepared. They survived by their speed. Killing first became the creed, but the gunfighters' code was holsters.
Howdy, partners. This is your old friend Chili Bill with my good buddies here, Juan Baracho and George Gabby Hayes Jr., who just took those falls for you a minute ago, telling you that no Hollywood magic is in this. Western know-how that makes Chilibill's chili, the authentic, bring-you-back-to-life bowl of red made with lean beef and my own championship chili blend. A real palate pleaser. Why don't you give it a try? Well, let's see. I guess I better eat. Oh, there's only one bowl here?
That's Chilibill's Championship Chili. You'll find that recipe and many more in If You Like It Hot. And we'll send you also. Send for it.
See? Here we go. Sit down, and we're going to try these tacos. Scoot right up there. Well, we won't know till we really eat, you know.
Okay.
So why don't we just dip right in. Here's your sauce, and you can use your spoon there. And, of course, we have to advertise my stuff, you see. That's green fire, lumbre verde. That's green fire. Now, what is your name?
Rita.
You're Rita, huh?
Rita.
Are you from Sedona?
Yes, I am.
You are from Sedona. How long you been here?
About 7 years.
About 7. Oh, you're an old-timer now.
Of course.
But I was here 35 years ago. We used to do old Western movies here.
Really?
35 years ago. I used to get killed about 7 times a week.
No.
Yeah.
I love your shirt.
Thank you. Well, I have to tell you the story about the shirt then. You know why? You know why they have a shirt like this?
No.
They have a shirt like this because in the days of the cavalry, those guys were out in the field for months at a time, and they would not be able to wash their clothes too often. So they kept a nice, clean underside, and when they had inspection, they would turn it over, and they had a clean shirt.
Fantastic. I love it.
Dip right in there, and let's
Ready
give it
to
a
go.
try. You go ahead. I'm going to get some of this sauce right here.
Mmm.
And old Chili Bill's got to have a little bit of this lumbre verde.
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to be all right?
I love it.
All right. Just keep chewing on it. You want some of this hot sauce? All right. But I'll tell you, that's green fire.
No.
All right.
Okay, let's go. I'm ready.
Go at it.
What's to drink?
Well, we normally have cerveza. You know what cerveza is? When the camera's off, we'll get you a cerveza.
love- this is
All right.
delicious.
Cerveza means beer.
This is delicious. Thank you. I love it.
Well, I did do a pretty good job today.
You did a fabulous job. I love it.
Well, I'm so glad that you were be able to try out our food and so forth. And we're going to come back next week, and we're going to cook up another one that we think's going to be just as good or better. And so we'll see you next week. Till then, adios.
This is delicious. I love it.